Welcome to the Phenomenal Podcast, an authentic forum where real conversations happen. I'm your host, Phen, and each episode features an unscripted chat with everyday people. Get ready for a genuine, raw discussion. Enjoy the conversation. Hey friends, welcome to another episode of the Phenomenal Podcast. I got a pretty cool guest here. We have never met. We've exchanged a few Twitter DMs, a few Twitter exchanges, and he agreed to come on the podcast. I have Josh Nichols, who is a golf psychology coach. So give me and the listeners a little bit about yourself. Give, brief backstory and what you do.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Phen. This is cool. I've listened to a handful of your episodes, and
wow.
What you said before you hit record was these are authentic conversations. That's exactly the vibe I get. So to get to talk to you is very cool. So golf psychology coach. So I've been playing golf for about 20 years and that, or a little bit longer. And I always had a goal of turning pro, and I went to a D1 college, played golf there, moved back in with my parents to continue to try to play golf, and just never, I guess didn't get good enough. But it was mostly like a money thing. I just I couldn't afford it.
Yeah. Right.
Q school is $5,000 or something. So I just wasn't able to do that. So but I got really good. I genuinely, I'm proud of how good I got. And I had some really good finishes in some amateur tournaments, won a few. I finished runner up in the US Mid-Am. That's kind of, my claim to fame is I didn't even win the tournament. My claim to fame is I finished second. So
that's a massive tournament. So that's a huge accomplishment. So
yeah, it was good. So during that week, I kind of realized, and it had been in the works in my mind for a little while, but kind of during that week, it was, I don't want to do this. I don't want to grind for the next 10 years trying to make it to the big tour. And I just don't want to be hotel jumping away from family. I had just met my girlfriend at the time, who's now my wife. And this was back in 2017. I met her 3 months before the US Mid-Am. So just the thought of, okay, this person who I really like to be with, I am pulled away from her to go do this, honestly selfish endeavor, which doesn't make it bad. It was just, it's completely selfish. I don't know if there's another word for it, whether that's it's not always, there's different degrees of selfishness, but that one certainly was. And I just said, I don't want to do this all the time. So at the height of my golf career, I decided to step away. And at that point I needed a job. So I asked my instructor, who helped me get that good, what should I do? You know me well and you have connections. What should I do? And he said, as good as you got mentally, I think you could do that for other people. And he handed me a few of his players. So I started working with them. And this was back in 2019, early 2019. And because 2018 was like, I'm not playing golf very much. I'm just kind of hanging out and doing as little as possible, looking for odd jobs, doing some things here and there. But 2019, I finally said, okay, let's do this with mental coaching. And then it grew slowly over time. And I also started the podcast back then too. And 5.5 years later now, I'm still going, and I've got, clients all over the world, and got over 200 episodes of the podcast. So things are still going. Yeah.
Yeah. I actually listen to your podcast while I work out. It's just nice to have, I listen to yours and then The Sweet Spot. With Adam and John Sherman.
Yeah, John.
Yeah. And then,
Those
of course,
cool.
They're great. I listen to Chasing Scratch when theirs come out, but they're not as frequent. So,
Yeah.
And that's how I got to know you originally, was you were on one of their episodes. And so
I've been on a couple. I got to play with Mike.
Last
summer. I guess 2 summers ago now. And then they had me formally on an episode, like
Right.
an interview like this. So
Yeah.
I've got the chance to be on there twice.
That's super cool. For
Oh, yeah.
those listening right now, if you want to check out Josh's podcast, it's called The Mental Golf Show. It's on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. I'm pretty sure pretty much anywhere, right?
Yeah, thanks.
So that's really cool. Okay, so school-wise, you played golf in school, but like, did you study something to help you with what you're doing now, or is that just like totally off the cuff? You're like, you know what, maybe just I'm going to do what I'm going to do, kind of thing.
Yeah, it's the second one. I got just kind of a generic business degree, and I didn't. I had no inkling of doing anything other than playing golf. That's all I wanted to do.
Yeah.
In fact, I abhorred the idea of working in golf and not playing golf. I just thought, well, that's giving up. That's kind of giving up the dream.
Yeah.
And that was so narrow-minded of me, short-sighted, whatever, and selfish, to use that word again. It was just really, I should have, I mean, looking back, I guess to should on myself, I should have been more open-minded to say, okay, that's, it might not work out, and that's okay, right? I used to think it might not work out is loser mentality. You're not allowed to think that. You have to be blinders on, never look away,
right,
and never admit defeat.
Right.
You know, failure is only when you stop trying, that kind of thing. And that turns out to be a very constricting mentality. You can pursue something wholeheartedly without knowing that it's going to work out. Of course, you can't know that it's going to work out. It's better to say, this might not work, and that's okay. So what can I do to possibly make it work?
Right.
And that's what I've done since then. Kind of girlfriend, relationships, stepping away from golf a little bit, gathering more perspective on life, kind of all let me in on that kind of info. And that was a very healthy change in my life.
Absolutely. I think one of your episodes I listened to probably a month or two ago, you were talking about that week before the U.S. Mid-Am Championship and how your girlfriend, who's now your wife, kind of helped you like see how, you know, like winning is just, it's an outcome of all the hard work you've put into. But like at the end of the day, it's not who you are.
Right.
And so
that's right. That was the mentality. That's kind of like there was Josh pre that and then Josh post that. That was the tipping point in my life. And that has all sorts of other pieces of that pie that went into that. But it was not only what helped me just be a healthier person, but it actually helped me play better golf because I was able to let go of the result needing to be a certain way.
Right.
And just play. And okay, let's see what happens. And okay, I'm going to go play this is my second time playing a US Mid-Am at that time. And let's see what happens. And I'm going to do my best. I've been working hard, so it'd be cool to test my game in this way. This is awesome opportunity. So I went and I did really well because all along the way I was like, this is cool, right? This is just an awesome opportunity. And if this next match goes well, awesome. If I play better than that guy, awesome. And it just kept happening. And it was purely because of that mentality and, you know, hours and hours and hours and hours and hours of practice. But that mentality kind of let me access all the skill that I had built finally. Yeah. And it's just a mentality that I never had up until that point. Yeah.
That's such a great mentality to take into anything. And that's really actually how we started talking, is that you said something specifically about golf. And I was like, man, this applies to so much more than just golf. Like, how often does our attitude hinder us from being good at anything, you know?
Oh, yeah.
And I'm working in a problem.
Our psychology.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah, go. Yeah, our psychology affects everything, but I want to hear
Mm-hmm.
what you're
Yeah,
talking about.
I'm working on a problem at work, and
Mm-hmm.
it's been like 3 weeks that it's the same thing over and over again. I'm a software engineer, so I'm just
Mm-hmm.
like by natural trade, and I'm just working on something that
Gotcha.
is kind of antiquated. They're using like this old system, and we have like an updated system, and so I'm trying to connect the two, and
Mm.
it's been 3 weeks of just like banging my head against the wall, and like my attitude
Wow.
has gotten to a point where I'm just like, I just don't want anything else to do with it. I
Mm.
and it makes it work harder. I know that,
Right.
even though I woke up this morning and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna give it my all. It's gonna be good. And I logged on and I was like, this sucks. I can't do this. Like, but it's like
Dang.
I know that I need to get out of that mindset from all the things that I listen to on you, or
Yeah.
sermons that I listen to, or other people talking about your mindset. Like, I really try to live with that. Your attitude is
Mm.
90% of any battle, like in anything
Yeah.
that you do. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. That's the things that we interact with, the
Mm-hmm,
stimuli, to use a psychology type term, the
mm-hmm,
stimuli that we encounter or that happens to us, those things are mostly neutral.
mm-hmm.
And how we respond to it is the positive or negative, or that it's the thing that turns it from neutral into something else.
Right.
So, a software engineering problem isn't, it doesn't have it out for you,
Right.
right? It's not,
Right.
and other people could have it out for you,
Sure.
but even that can be seen as, okay, that person is just doing a thing, or
Mm-hmm.
this problem just is what it is. Now, how do I see it? How do I interpret what it is?
Right.
And if you label it as this sucks, or
Right.
and those kind of labels,
Uh-huh.
then you put on glasses that make you see everything
Yeah.
through those lenses, right?
Right. That's so true. And no matter, it's crazy what your mind can do. And I know
Mm.
you probably know all this. I asked your original question of what you did in college because you go into a lot of psychology and a lot of different things. So I was wondering if you
Mm.
had any type of background in that, or you just
No,
do your own research, which is very
I
impressive.
do my own research. Yeah,
Yeah.
I do a lot of reading. Yeah.
Yeah. That's very impressive because I hate to read. And so I would know it would make
Yeah,
me
I
a better
struggle.
person.
Another thing, yeah, that would make you better. Yeah, I really struggle reading. I'm really, really slow.
Hmm.
It's boring, but it's weird. Ever since I started on this kind of an endeavor over the last five and a half years,
Hmm.
when I find a book that is talking about the kind of things that I'm trying to
Hmm.
learn about, light bulbs just start coming on.
Yeah.
It's not, it's so weird. It's not like I always had this interest in psychology and
Hmm.
finally I'm pursuing it. It was
Hmm.
like, I just don't even, that's not even a thing. I might have.
Right.
And I guess looking back, I wish I had got a
Hmm.
degree in psychology, and I would love to get a master's and whatever.
Hmm.
And I just, time and money, I just
Right.
not able to do it.
Right.
But when I read stuff now,
Hmm.
I'm still really slow at it, but
Yeah.
it's like, okay, this is cool. This is like, when I read a sentence that is purely scientific and psychological and just cold hard science, I interpret the golf meaning out of it.
Sure.
And it's just kind of how it
Yeah.
goes through my brain now. Wow, that makes exact perfect sense
Right.
for all this experience that I've ever had over the last 20 years.
Hmm.
That's the actual explanation for it on a deeper level, and that to me is cool.
Yeah,
And that's
absolutely.
super boring to probably so many people, but that to me is cool.
I think taking any application that you're reading or whatever and being able to apply it to a personal experience and be able to realize like, oh, this is why I felt this way, or this is how I can
Mm,
improve myself. Like I was
mm,
getting to the point of like, we all have those glasses on. And even though we know that we should take them off, like I know that this attitude I have
mm,
is bad and it's going to cause me to feel X way. Like I still just kind
mm.
of want to wallow in that for some reason. Like,
Yeah, right.
like,
Yeah, it feels good sometimes
right,
to feel bad. It was,
right.
as weird as that sounds, I
It
know
does.
exactly what you're talking about.
Right. And so, but I don't know, I like your podcast and the things that you talk about because you do get into the psychology of things and you relate it to things that you've experienced. And then I start to think about like on the golf course or even in my own life, like how can I apply those things? Like I think the one that really sticks out that you talk about a lot is just acceptance and what acceptance actually is, you know, like I'm going to sit on I'm envisioning number one of the golf course that I play a lot with my stepdad. There's water on the right and the house is right on the left. And I'm just like, you know what? I could hit a house. I could hit it in the water. Whatever. It's going to be okay. I try to have that mindset whenever I play now because I'm just out there having a good time. So
so the mentality, and I posted this the other day, but it and I've never phrased it this way, but it was basically acceptance is not that you're okay with the result. Acceptance is that you're okay no matter the result. Right.
Yeah.
So that's the difference there is huge because when you come and go with the result or the result makes you good or makes you bad or your emotions ride with the result, then you need the result to be good. And if you need the result to be good, then a bad result is threatening, scary. Yeah. So now you're swinging scared.
Right.
The opposite would be no matter what happens, I'm okay. I'm solid. I've got a good foundation. This golf shot is such a small part of my overall pie of my life, of how I see myself, my identity, that it could go bad and there's 90% of me left. Right. There's faith and relationships and just whatever. There's so much else that defines me. And this one golf shot, while wanting to do it well, and you hear Scotty Scheffler talk about this, he talks about, I wish I didn't hate losing so much. Right. I wish I wasn't as competitive. But it's still there, right? There's still a drive to do well.
Yeah.
But when you say, I'm good no matter what, which you also hear Scotty Scheffler talk about a lot, is, I could win, I could lose. Either way, I'm going home and doing my same old thing, hanging out with my small group and mowing my lawn and like those kind of things.
Right.
And that just, it's so freeing because no matter what happens here, I'm going to be okay. So there's nothing to be scared of. So there's no reason to swing scared. So I'm freed up to let it rip.
Right. I love Scotty, and like, it's funny. Before I like really got to know him, I don't actually know him, but like know about him. Me and him, we're best friends. But
I wish I knew Scotty.
Right. Yeah. I just looked at him and I was like, man, I don't know if I like that guy. There's just something about him. And then I didn't do any research. I didn't listen to anything. It was just like purely just saw him. I was like, I don't know about that guy. And then I got to know, like, hear about him and like listen to him talk. And I was like, this guy is just a great dude all around.
Yeah.
And I look up to him as just like someone who can be successful, but still stay just like who they are.
The same.
You know, like I know who I am. I know whose I am. I know where my identity is. Like no matter how big I get, no matter how much money I make, which I mean, oh my gosh, like this year, right?
Yeah.
I'm still Scotty, which is so great.
And that's huge.
Right.
That's huge for him as a person and him in life, but it's also massive for his golf.
Yeah.
Because golf can be great. It could be terrible. And he's going to be the same. So there's nothing to be afraid of. Right. And I've been wanting to do like a, like the psychology of faith, like that kind of a post or a podcast episode. And I've just been hesitant to do it, but the idea of you have a foundation, an identity, and something so much bigger than yourself. And what happens with this tiny little game has zero effect on that, on your relationship with God, with Jesus. And it's just like, okay, so anything can happen and I'll be okay.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the most freeing thing. Yeah. And that's like the underlying thing in faith is you have all this freedom, right? You have freedom in Christ, that kind of thing. And that's just, I mean, you can't be, he's the most dangerous golfer out there because of that, I think, which is so cool, it's what makes him really boring. Yeah. But also what makes him a very good golfer.
Right. I was gonna like, so his Olympics, everyone has the signs and like, what do you want to do? Like everyone's like, I want a gold medal. And then Scotty's just standing there with his signs like, I just want to have fun. Like, how does that mindset help him so much? Like,
Right.
It's just amazing.
Yeah. So, I mean, if he, I mean, he just holds it in such a great place in his life because, I mean, I'm beating this dead horse, but it's like, okay, golf has its purpose in my life, but it is not ultimate.
Yeah.
And winning a gold medal is not the ultimate thing.
Yeah.
Me enjoying myself, like we're talking about what my attitude is while I play this game. That's what matters. Who I display myself as to other people.
Yeah.
That's what matters more. Yeah. And I imagine what's in his head is, and he's not perfect, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But I know he's not. But he, in his head is, I want to do my best at this for its own sake, right? I want to do my best because doing my best is just who I am, right? Trying my hardest is just who I am. Now the result is going to be what it's going to be.
Right.
And no matter what, I'm going to try my hardest.
Yeah.
And that's what's going to matter to me while I play.
Right.
And if it goes great, awesome. If it doesn't, that's fine too.
Yeah.
It'll be disappointing because I want to do well. I like results. He's human just like anyone else. So that's just such a freeing place to be.
Yeah. And I mean, I try to play that way. I mean, I'm not a great golfer. But
what do you shoot usually?
Okay. So this year I started with a goal. I started at a 24 handicap and I wanted to get below 10 before November 1st.
It's big.
Yeah. It was a big goal.
Did you do it?
No.
You make it sound like you didn't do it. Yeah.
I didn't do it. I at one point I got to like a 26 and then I ended up getting down to an 18.5 and it ended up being, I just like couldn't play enough.
Yeah.
And so, golf's expensive.
Okay. Yeah.
But I just
that's still good improvement.
Yeah. And like it's not that I'm like I definitely improved scoring wise, but my scores don't reflect actually how much better I'm playing. And
I hear that a lot.
I'm just like, working through that and I can't like put things together. Like I can be great tee to green one day and then have like 5 3-putts and some 4-putts. And then I can be not good in the other places and I'll be 1-putting. Like, it's just like, I can't put it all together. Like most people talk about that.
It's like you're plugging holes in a sinking boat.
Yeah, exactly. So I think repetition will be good once I can eventually afford to play more often and things like that. But I also got I want to buy your practice plan. It's for anybody that's listening. Josh has a great practice plan. You say, get it down to the minute for you for a week.
Yeah.
Right. So I just got the Rapsodo, the MLM2 Pro for my birthday.
Oh, nice.
Yep.
Nice.
And I
Happy
ordered.
Birthday.
Thank you. I ordered.
When was your birthday?
It was October 28th. So it's a couple weeks ago.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
And
Rapsodo. Okay. Is it good?
I've
put a lot of time into it.
Taken it to the range twice, and it hasn't. Like my numbers aren't what I would have expected them to be, and I think it's because it's not doing like the calculation differential of like using a range ball versus a premium ball.
Sure. Can you factor that?
It's supposed to do that, and I think I'm just having issues with like alignment and stuff like that. But I just ordered basically a batting cage to put in my driveway. And so
seriously?
Yeah, it's like
an enclosed.
Yeah, it's
hitting.
Has top, a back, and then sides, and then like this part's empty. It's 10 by 10 by 10, so I could swing fully in there. Oops.
Yeah, no kidding.
And it's like $250 on Amazon, so I'm hoping it's like will hold up.
Not that bad.
No, it wasn't terrible.
Is it like golf net material?
It's specifically for golf. So
okay.
We'll see how it works. And it's supposed to be here today, but it's raining, so I won't be able to set it up.
Right. Yeah, you need to send me that link.
Yeah.
I'm in the market for that kind of thing. I hit foam balls into a bed sheet, and
Yeah.
that's not ideal
I
usually.
watch your videos about that on Twitter or X, excuse me. And
Yeah.
every comment is always like, people like, don't hit that window. And I was like, guys,
Yeah.
do you think he's like that dumb? Like,
Rocketing real golf balls
yeah,
into a bed sheet.
yeah,
Yeah. No. But I play with it. I'm always like, oh no, I won't hit the window. Don't
yeah,
worry. I don't miss the bed sheet.
yeah.
I keep people stringing along. Like I'm some
Yeah.
phenom golfer. Yeah.
Right. Have you ever heard of birdie balls?
What is that?
They're like these little, it's basically like PVC pipes. They're like this big.
Yeah.
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 It's like a little cylindrical piece.
Yeah.
Right.
And,
with two open sides. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. And it's supposed to be flight reduced and go like, actually, if you hit it, like if you hit your fade, it'll fade. If you hit your draw, it'll draw. And I used them for the past couple of years, and I love them, but it's really hard to figure out your distance and things like that.
Yeah.
But I posted videos of myself just rocketing these from my driveway into my backyard. I posted them on Instagram and things like that. And people always say the same thing. They're like, you just launching balls into your neighbor's house? Like, I was like, yep. Only broken a few windows.
Yep.
So.
Yeah. I just have zero care. Yeah. I'm just doing it. Yeah. Right. We've got a decent sized backyard. We have a ton of trees in the backyard. So it's, and we're surrounded by houses.
Yeah.
Backyards, side yards. So I'm hesitant to set up a real net.
Yeah.
That the ball could potentially go through, no matter how high quality the net is. I've owned lots of nets through my life. Never one that, John Sherman says, oh yeah, this is the best one. Yeah. You can have this one and it never messes up. So I haven't bought one since then, but I have put so many golf balls through nets in my life and hit walls with real golf balls. And so I'm really hesitant to do that.
That's fair.
But give me your feedback on yours.
I will. I'm going to set it up facing my garage door. So if it goes through and I hit my own garage door, it'll be okay. Yeah. My wife will be upset, but at least I didn't break something.
Right. Yeah.
So
you won't get sued or anything. Right. Yeah. It'll just be disappointing. Yeah.
For sure. But I'll let you know how it goes.
Yeah.
But once I get that set up, I definitely want to get the practice plan from you so that because I still have that goal. I still want to drop below single digit handicap and actually start scoring well.
Do you feel like setting the hard number of November 1st, was that, okay, first off, why did you do that?
I was trying to become a content creator. And so I thought that, that, having a goal and like tracking it and letting people follow along and stuff like that would be a good thing.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to try to push myself.
Finite goal.
Right.
Yeah.
Make a smart goal, people say.
Sure.
So I was trying to just push myself a little bit as well, but then Instagram shadow banned me, and I realized that like I'm not actually that great of a golfer. And
Instagram did what to you?
At one point I was getting like, I'd post something and it'd like be like 10,000 people saw this, and then like all of a sudden now it's like 30 people saw it, and it's been that way for like 6 months, 7 months now. So I'm just like, whatever.
What the?
I don't know what happened, but
just inexplicable. They just stopped showing you to people.
Yeah, people say that happens if you say something or use a certain hashtag, then like, I guess, I don't know.
Wow, isn't it crazy how that kind of thing can? I mean, if it kept on that path of 6-digit or whatever people watching your stuff, your life could change. And
exactly.
Just like one little thing is like, well, I guess I can't do that anymore. It's just crazy.
It is absolutely crazy. But I've switched to trying to post things on X because it's, more supposed to be more free speech, more, and I don't say anything crazy. Sure. I just like, but it's, like, I don't know. We'll see. I have the little premium thing to try to broadcast a little more, and people can know I'm a real person. And I mean, being in the golf industry would be super cool, but I'm not as honed in, I guess, just on that as like you are or other people are. There's so many different aspects of who I am that like I'm just interested in, and so like I get pulled in so many different directions and I
Right.
need to focus, but it's hard.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm definitely no expert because I'm behind the scenes. I'm asking all these other people.
Yeah.
I'm talking to like Lou Stagner and we mentioned John Sherman, Adam Young. I'm asking them how they got to what they're doing. And so I'm certainly early.
Yeah.
But when if you when you say being in the golf industry would be really cool, that's a super broad phrase.
Right.
What do you what do you mean? What would you want to do?
Okay. What I actually want to do is I just want to work for myself. Like, all in all, my big goal is to do something that I'm in control of my own time. And like, I know that when you're a small business owner, you actually are working 24/7 technically. But at least I get to dictate how much effort I put into what at what time.
Yes.
And then in that, I also want my wife to not be able, or if she doesn't want to work, which she doesn't want to work, then she cannot. Like,
yes.
So those are my two
You and me
big
are
goals.
the exact same.
Yeah.
In that regard.
Yeah. And my wife is a nurse now. Huh?
Are you serious? Your wife is a nurse?
Yeah.
My wife is a nurse.
That's nice. Is she a pediatric nurse?
What kind of? Yeah, she works in the NICU. Yeah.
My wife just works on a general respiratory floor at the hospital here. In
Where are you guys?
But we're Atlanta.
Okay. Yeah, I saw your Auburn. I figured you were down.
This is actually my wife's. I did not.
Nice.
Go there, but
I saw her Auburn.
Yeah. So
okay.
I went to Kennesaw State here in Georgia, and
gotcha.
You're in North Carolina, right?
Yeah, I'm up in Raleigh.
Okay.
Yeah.
I actually almost transferred. Nice. I almost transferred to NC State at some point.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. How old are you?
29. Just turned 29. I don't know if you watched New Girl, but
no, we tried to get into it. We watched like the first 3 or 4 episodes. My wife has seen them all, and I hadn't. So she said, "We got to watch this," and we fizzled out.
Yeah.
I don't know that reference.
That's what I've been saying though. It's like this one reference. When he turns 29, he just goes 29, and he just kept saying it over and over again.
That does sound familiar.
Yeah. So that's where I'm at.
Okay, so you're 4 years behind me as far as age goes, and I feel incredibly weird, like assuming the role of a mentor, because I do not fit that role in whatever whatsoever. Yeah. But I am kind of living some of the things that you desire. Mm-hmm. I wanted to own my own business. Mm-hmm. I wanted to get to where my wife didn't have to work because she doesn't want to work. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to work in golf. Mm-hmm. And I guess after I stopped trying to turn pro, I then wanted to make working in golf my business. Yeah. And so I've just, as of 2 weeks ago, I worked my final junior golf tournament because that was kind of a side job I was doing. Mm-hmm. And that was the last thing that I was doing in addition to my own business. Yeah. So for the first time ever, I'm only doing my own business.
Congrats. That's huge.
So yeah. It's crazy.
Yeah.
And it's grown over the last 2 years to the point where my wife, she's down to doing like per diem hours where she just works once every couple weeks. Yeah. And she doesn't have to, but she's kind of trying to keep her license, and
that's exactly
likes to get out of the house.
Scenario we're trying to get to.
Yeah.
Is that she can, I think they call it PRN here. Well, she'll work
PRN
every 6 weeks. Yep. Just enough hours to keep her license. So
right. Yeah. So we're living that, and I'm also living when you own your own business, you work 24/7 and mentally, but I have had to pull out a lot of stops to make myself have mental boundaries, because I'm in our house, so I don't have the physical boundary of, okay, I'm done with work now, let's go home. Yeah. I'm my son is in nap time right there on the other side of this wall.
Right.
So it's really hard to cut off work, cut on, especially owning my own business where I could literally be doing something at all times. I could always be making more podcasts, more content. I could just always be doing something.
Yeah.
And that would be really unhealthy. So I've had to work hard on that. Yeah.
That makes sense. Yeah. I mean, but I like your podcasts. I mean, I listened to one this morning. It was, you just did 10 minutes and you just talked about something like that was on your, and I think that's so cool. I'm wondering how I could do something like that with mine, but mine's so conversational based that like, I don't know what I would talk about by myself.
I mean, I heard, one time I used to consume a lot of Gary V content. I don't know if you've ever heard of him, Vaynerchuk. He said one thing that's kind of stuck with me. He used to say, document, don't create. And that was, I always was like, okay, how can I do that? And I don't think I do that anymore. I think I create, not document. But I don't know, like you said, you were trying to or are trying to become a content creator. And you said it, you're okay, I want to kind of document my journey to single digit. So that could, you did not ask me. You just said, I don't know how to do this. But if I was just brainstorming with you, I would say, okay, well, have a weekly or bi-week every 2 weeks, check in on what you've done recently. I don't know.
Yeah. And I I'm definitely thinking about that and more. That's where I got into the point where it's like, I was so into golf and I still am. Like, I mean, I have big goals for my golf game, which is still gets to single digit. My father-in-law want to try to win their member guest at the country club that he's part of in September next year. Or at least awesome. our flight of that.
Yeah, sure.
And so, like I have goals for that, but then also it's like, hey, like, how can I do something similar to what you're doing, but just like help people get the most potential out of their lives? Like, how can I almost become a life coach? Just like, that's kind of the route that I'm going down. And as I gain a following, if I can get like people are interested in what I'm doing in golf, then that's great. If they're interested in what I'm doing as a dad one day, like that's great. Like, just as many avenues that I can tap into and just be a relatable guy. That's kind of like the niche. It's a broad niche, but it's still the niche that I think like, hey, like I'm just a dude that you can relate to.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. That's interesting. I've kind of brushed up against that at times because I feel like a lot of my personal golf achievements are not that relatable. So I find it hard making myself the subject. Right. And I rarely do, I think. It's usually, okay, how can you and your psychology improve? And that, so it tends to be more educational, instructional, rather than here's what I did. And I've got thoughts about doing something like that in the future, but with the Mental Golf Show and other various content platforms, I really just am trying to help other golfers or me get out of the way and help other golfers. But that does not have to be the way that it is. I mean, Chasing Scratch is only about them, right? And I guess that would be the
they're actually the people who inspired me to like try to do something. It's like they had so much success just documenting their journey, and it helps that their friendship is so amazing and that they're just hilarious, but
they're super relatable, and they the duo, and I spent so much time thinking about this because I'm listening through for the first time all the episodes.
Oh yeah.
And nice. I'm on season 5 or something. And I just started listening probably 3 or 4 months ago. And I've been listening to their voices. I've heard their voices more than I've heard my wife's voice over the last 3 or 4 months.
Yeah.
And which is probably bad. And I told her that, and she says, that doesn't sound good.
That's weird.
But that's weird. But I think about this all the time of like, I can do this. Like I can document my journey to whatever. And, but then I'm thinking, but what makes them successful is, I guess, is, they grew seemingly organically and exponentially of okay, they all of a sudden they have people just glomming onto their journey, and now they just have this cult following.
Yeah, it's literally a cult.
You're part of that cult following. Right. Not a cult. But it's like the Velagram has 1,000 plus people in it.
Yeah.
And they have even more than that are paying them. And then they have way, way, way more than that just listen to them.
Yeah.
So I don't, what specifically makes them successful, I guess. I don't know. What do you think is like, this is why they grew that way?
Man, that's a great question. Cause like, I think one of the things that in the earlier seasons, like season 1 or 2, is that like, they said they thank someone for posting them on like the golf Reddit forum, and it's like, I think that was like a big catalyst for them. And then
that's right.
Just a word of mouth from theirs. Golf is so big in today's society amongst most men now. Like my wife could care. I don't know how your wife is, but my wife could care less about golf.
Doesn't care about golf.
Yeah. She's like, why do you play so much? I was like, because it's competitive. It's something, I don't know. Like, it's just like, I just want to be better.
It fills a void.
Right. Yeah. But I don't know, like amongst people like us and most of our friends, if I meet someone and I can't talk to them about golf, then there's probably not much else that we can talk about either. Like, I'm like, all right, we're just going to sit here in awkward silence. But they got that traction amongst the normal people. And their story is so relatable. Like, how many of us want to become scratch golfers? Everyone. Everyone who plays, they want to be scratch. And so that journey for them,
even if it's super unrealistic, it's just like, well, I want to that would be amazing to get there.
Yeah. Listening to your stories about being in the US Mid-Am, I told my wife recently, I was like, if we ever like won the lottery, which is obviously never going to happen, but I was like, I think I want to try to end up qualifying for that. I was like, that'd be so cool,
Yeah.
Totally unrealistic.
It's like the
goal.
Pinnacle of our golfers our age is that's the one. That's the shining North Star. Right. And so yes, I'm with you. Right. I want to get back.
I've never even played a tournament round of golf yet. So like, I have a long way to go.
Yeah, sure.
But yeah,
like you got a lot of years left in your life.
That's true. I do. So I think that's really what made them successful, is how relatable. And that's something we touched on earlier already, is like, you deal with relatable things for most golfers that you're working through. It's like everyone is a basket case on the golf course.
Right.
Yeah. So that's
golf makes people basket cases. It's crazy. I have so many clients that will say, I'm not like this in any other part of my life. I'm focused. I'm neutral. I'm objective. I'm motivated. I get the work done. But then I get on the golf course and I go off the rails, and it's just crazy. Golf, the fact that golf does that, and you hear that in Chasing Scratch. Yeah. We know that in our own lives. That's why the guys are so relatable, is because they're documenting their struggles, not just their successes are few and far between. It's really the struggles that are the most relatable thing.
Yeah. And that's what makes it fun. And what else I think helps them is how good of a sport they both are about what they're working through. It's like, you can see their frustration, but then they always end up bouncing back, or they have someone like Dr. J or you, and they're like, just like, hey, golf's not your whole life. Like, and so, but at the same time.
Yeah. So that's,
you go ahead.
So you want to do that. You want to,
I mean, maybe like I want to do, that. I want to be, what I really want to be is just a positive influence in reach as many people as I can, because there's we live in a dark world. I mean, my life is amazing. Like I know that all of us have great aspects of life, but you look around at all the things happening, there's so much darkness. And so I just want to, that's my big prayer, is like, one of them at least, is like, hey, like, God, help me become a strong man with a bunch of influence so that I can help other people become stronger and better. So what does that look like? I don't know.
Right. So that's, I guess, I was a guest on another podcast called Raising Greatness, I think. And I don't know if they were building up a bunch of interviews to just start releasing them weekly. And I don't know if they've started doing that yet, but which is bad if they've been doing it for months now and I don't know, and my episode is out and I don't know that. That's not good. But we just, before we hit record, we were talking about something, and he used the phrase niche up, like lean, like go smaller, like make yourself more niche, because you don't need, and I know you said I want as big of a following as possible, but you don't need millions of people.
Yeah.
You really just need like 1,000 true fans.
Yeah, that's true.
And if I guess that is in mind of, making it your income. But as far as, having positive influence on the most people, bringing light to the most people possible, you want millions of people following you.
Right.
But to make it your thing, like, I don't need 1,000 clients. I just need 40 clients that will pay me the price that I want them to pay.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I just need 100 people to buy a digital course or something. Like, it doesn't need to be millions. So go really, really niche and apply perfectly to those 2,000 people, those 10,000 people.
Right.
And so it's almost like, it feels like the more I got to make myself as broad as possible to gather as many people as possible. But then you're kind of jack of all trades too much and master of none too much, sort of thing.
That's how I feel a lot of times.
Right. Which is like that, as a person, that's probably how you should be.
Right.
But as someone who wants to grow a following, it's like when someone finds you, you want the person that says he is talking about the exact thing that I want to listen to, or the 9 other people that find you and say, that's all he talks about. Yeah, I don't want that, which is like scary, because then 9 people are leaving, but the one is like, yes, that's what I care about.
Right.
And that's what I try to do, because my thing is like niche within a niche within a niche of, okay, it's not just sports. It's not just golf. It's not just instruction within golf. It's like the mental game within golf.
Right.
And it's really not even just mental game. It's like, no, like there's a bunch of people talking about mental game, but this is like psychology. Like I try to go real deep.
You do. Yeah.
So that's the advice I would give. You did not ask for advice at all. So
no, that's okay.
You could throw it all away.
No, I appreciate it. Like I didn't, it's so funny. These conversations, I never know where they're going to go. I always have like these thoughts in my head, and it's like, now I'm getting a business lesson, and I think that's amazing.
From a guy who's not even that far ahead of you.
Yeah. But I mean, you are like, you've established a business. You've gotten, you actually have achieved the goal that I just laid out for you. Like, honestly,
true.
Word for word, you're working for yourself, and your wife, who is also a nurse, is now working the only amount of shifts to keep her license, which is exactly where we want to be.
Yeah.
Which is kind of crazy.
Yeah.
So
it's crazy.
God does funny things.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. So, and we're both Christians, and we have a lot in common. Actually, we have
here we are.
Crazy, strange amount in common.
Did we just
both have
best
nice
friends?
sounding mics? Yeah. So that's. I mean, I applaud your desire, but when I was it feels so weird when I was your age. That feels like such a weird phrase to say, but that's like when I was there, I wanted, it was like, I don't know what to do with all the knowledge or desire that I have.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, cut out 90% of it and just focus really, really, and go really deep on 10% of it.
Yeah.
We can't all be Joe Rogan, who is like,
yeah, right.
Does it all, has all the people. Okay, that's done, right? There's only going to be so many of those, but it's okay. There's a million niches that the internet's a big place, right?
Very big place.
That's how I think about it.
Yeah, no, I appreciate your insight. It's didn't know this is where it was going to go, but it's been nice.
Yeah, me neither.
What how big of a jump was it for you when like you were on the Chasing Scratch podcast? Like, how did you like see a significant increase, or not as much as you would have thought? Like when that happened?
I did.
Yeah.
You can see it in my podcast stats of August 2023. I had just played with Mike. They had just posted it. It was an episode called Freewheeling, and all of a sudden people know about me, and Mike mentions my podcast, so people come over there. And half of my clients now, like paid clients that pay me a lot of money. Yeah. I ask, how'd you find me? And half of them say, Chasing Scratch. Right. So I owe Mike and Eli a lot of money probably, but and just the countless things that they do for me, invite me to things and do things, pay for my golf and stuff that doesn't make it out into the public. Yeah. But I absolutely saw a jump, Twitter following, you could say, I was probably at like 1,500 followers or something. And
you have like 15,000 now, right?
Yeah, I think I got like 10,000, and at the time it was like double, which to double something is really big.
Yeah, absolutely.
Podcast listens was a doubling of the listens. So that was big. And now it's like, it leveled back down because, people discovered me, and not all of them probably like what I'm saying to you. They come over here to listen and they're like, okay, that's maybe not really what I'm going for. I'd rather, I don't want to listen to that all the time. So I struggle with this too. I'm like, well, I need to make myself more broad. I need to gather more followers, and I don't know how. So I've kind of plateaued. So I'm fighting a lot of the same things that I'm pretending that I know what I'm talking about to you.
No.
So I'm fighting.
We're all
fighting
just figuring it out,
Yeah, true.
So you should try to get on the sweet spot. I bet give your mental game on there.
I really should. That's the advice I've gotten from some people is be a guest on everyone else's podcast. It's probably like the best time that you could spend. And I should go on a podcast tour, but I need to like launch something so that people, like when John Sherman launches a book, he goes out on all the podcasts to talk about his book. So I need that something probably.
What about your practice plan?
Practice plan is good. The problem with the practice plan is it's not very passive. I have to every time someone buys one, I have to spend 30 minutes to an hour making it. So sure, I get the money, but then
you actually have to work,
and I don't have to. Yeah, I actually have to work. So, but I can do it when I want within a week or so. But still, I want to have something to sell that I don't have to work more hours when people buy it.
I'm looking at your mental game assessment you gave me.
Yeah.
Now, so that's
did you fill
thing.
That one? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
When did you do it?
September. So
okay,
it's been like my name. I didn't use Phen. I used my real name. So
got it. Okay, I probably would have recognized Phen, but those are less manual. You fill out the 100 or so statements, and then we get all those statements, and we have to bring that into a thing that makes the report. but we do have to hand send those. We have a pretty old janky system that could use updating, but we do have to manually send each one via email.
Yeah.
And we have thousands of them, but it's my wife does it. So I don't usually see every person's name that has done it, but yeah, that's a pretty cool little thing. It's certainly not everything you could need.
No, but I so like you have a lot of different things. Like you have that way to get someone in, the free thing. Like, hey, like come do this, and then we'll
get their email.
Yeah. Yep. Then now you have the practice plan, and then people can actually work with you on one-on-one. And something else my wife makes fun of me a lot because she's like, you always say like you just get this last thing and then you'll be done. And I was like, but then there's always something else. It's no. Yeah. Now I've wanted a divot board for a while, even before I started listening to your podcast, but that's something. And then now they have the mat that the divot board sits into, which is awesome. Because
I want one of those.
You're out there giving people hacks on how to make that themselves, basically.
Yeah. I don't that they know that that's the number one thing that people that it's like thick and sits off the ground. So they're like, let's just make a mat so people don't have to worry about this.
Yeah, but I think what you're doing is great. And your newsletter, like that's something else that I've been seeing people talk about a lot. Is like just build an email list and start a newsletter. Like like. I don't know. It's a great way to get a following of people, and then eventually that can
give something away for free and get email addresses
and
then email them. And because I think an email, if someone's reading an email, they're more likely to buy something from you, and rather than post something on X and expect people to buy something. And same for podcasts, because you're in their ears, right? You are who they listen to. So that person is more likely to buy something probably too. So I can't quantify. For some reason, Divot Board doesn't do a good job of like, okay, they came from the newsletter, they came from the podcast, they came from whatever. So I can't quantify the podcast is worth this much and the newsletter is worth this much, which is annoying. But I just know these things are probably valuable. So I need to just try to grow these things as much as possible.
Absolutely.
How to do that is just like, I'm just going to keep trying to do quality stuff for as long as possible. And hopefully people care.
Yeah.
Which is boring and vague, but that's all I'm trying to do.
That's what you got to do. That's all we can do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Something else.
You
go ahead.
Well, no. Where do you host the Phenomenal podcast?
I have on Spotify. I use
what do you use to host it?
I use Spotify. So I take from Riverside and I upload it to Spotify.
Got it. Okay.
And it distributes to Apple Podcasts.
Yeah.
And some other thing. My friend was like, he was on one of the episodes and he was like, "Oh, I actually listened to my podcast on this like obscure app that I had never heard of before."
I use an obscure app.
Which one?
I use Pocket Casts.
I think that's the one that he told me to
it's good.
To put it on. So I was like, okay. Yeah. So theirs was super easy to connect to. Right. So I do that, and then I upload them to YouTube as well.
Cool.
The cool thing about uploading to Spotify is that like I can just upload this video podcast to Spotify.
Yeah.
So
that's I read. I was on Reddit, and we mentioned Reddit at one point. I was on Reddit, like our podcasts, and someone said, "How do you grow?" Like I got 100,000 listens within 3 months or something, and they said Spotify uploading it as a video to Spotify is more likely to show your podcast to people. And I don't even know how to do that or what that means. So I need to look into that. So it's like
transfer where do you host yours?
Podbean.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't.
So I would have to do it probably straight to Spotify in some way, but I don't know.
I don't know how to transfer from Podbean to Spotify, but actually starting a podcast on Spotify and then like distributing your RSS feed other places was pretty simple. So if you, and I do, unless like my last episode was with the guy and he started showing me, he was a pilot and he started showing me like his badges and things like that. And I was like, I probably shouldn't like upload this video for everyone to see your pilot credentials. So I just
Sure.
left that one as like an MP3, but
I got you.
Pretty easy. So,
so it's through, because I've seen after I did a Riverside with somebody with like the head club fitter at Titleist, which was amazing.
Yeah. Nice.
It said there was like a publish to Spotify button after it processed. Is that literally what you do?
Yeah. Well, I pull it down and I do a little altering in Adobe in Premiere Pro. I add my intro music and my exit, and then
that's right.
But other than that, like you could just upload straight from Riverside to, and I think they have the way to now you can add your music and stuff in.
That's right. So I got an editor. Yeah.
Oh, nice. I've noticed that there's music and things like that throughout the episodes now. So which is cool.
I just use GarageBand, so I don't. It's definitely nothing high tech. But
I mean, my podcast is like as low hanging fruit as possible. It's just like record, download, slap this on, then upload. I'll use ChatGPT to help me do descriptions and things like that. And then
nice. Yeah.
So
that's good. Like you're hitting the 80% of what you need. It doesn't like you could go the extra 20, like chasing scratch and like edit the heck out of it and make it a story, and that's a lot of effort.
Yeah, but like that's Mike's job now. So like
right,
you know, like
what else are you gonna do?
Right, like so, and good for him. I wanted to comment in the Velcro and be like, hey, does anyone want to start a golf podcast so we can write off all our golf expenses? You know,
right? The ultimate integration,
right? Yeah. So, but I mean, just try to.
You're doing good stuff.
We'll see. We'll. I'm excited to follow your journey, and maybe now you'll follow mine. So.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Of course I will. Yeah.
What
we're the same person,
basically. So when I guess I commented on one of your posts and you decided to click my profile, did you like then click my pinned post to check out my podcast? Like, how did you get there?
I discovered you months ago.
What?
It was like, I have no clue how.
Wow.
It was like,
this is cool.
I'm starting a thing and I'm going to, I feel like it was a Twitter post, but it was just like, I'm starting this new thing or this new experiment or something where I'm just having candid conversations or blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
And sorry to blah, 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 what you said, but
no,
I just clicked and listened to the trailer and I was like, oh, this is cool. Kind of general good conversation to listen to, and it sounds good. So, it was completely organic. I think that's crazy. I really don't remember the origin of it.
When you responded and you said, I've listened to a few of your episodes, I was like, what? Like, cause I'll pull up my stats really fast. Like my top listened episode is the first one I did with my friend. He was the best man in my wedding.
Yeah.
And it's like, it only has 24 listens. Like, I don't get a ton of traction. Yeah. Like, so that's really.
And I was one of those 24.
I guess so.
That's crazy. Yeah. It's possible you commented on something someone else did and I saw it and I saw you but like why I would click through and find it. And I don't know. So, but I know that happened.
That's so cool. I'm always curious, like who's listening. And I just thought it was people that like I know or like,
right.
You know, like,
right.
I was hoping to.
I mean, that's how mine started. It was two people, which was probably me listening to it back after I published it.
Right.
But I mean, it absolutely it took 2 years probably until it was like actually organically getting new people to listen to it. Over 100 times. So just took a really long time.
That's what everyone says. It's like, you know, like you just keep doing something, and it's almost type of insanity. It's just like, hey,
just keep going,
just keep posting. And so I had 26 episodes recorded, and I posted one every week for 26 weeks.
Oh, nice.
And then I ran out of people to talk to. And
sure.
So it's been kind of sporadic since then. But I mean, I'm still trying. Not going to give up. So
yeah. Well, I mean, again, you didn't ask me this, and I have no clue if this is something you would want to do. But between interviews, do a little short check-in or something.
Yeah.
Like to keep it weekly.
Yeah.
Something that you can do really, really quickly and short.
Yeah.
And
no, I'm starting to think. I actually have thought about that when I listened to that. You just had a 10-minute episode. You're like, it's just this blurb. Like, sure, my platforms for authentic conversations is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But like, hey, let me just give you, if I'm trying to start a newsletter, or I'm trying to build a business, or I'm trying to do whatever, like, hey, I didn't have an episode this week, like, but here's what I'm working on. Here's where you can find me. Here's some of the partners.
That's authentic.
Yeah. So
it's an authentic conversation with the listener.
Exactly. Hey, you, and reply.
Yeah.
So
that's right. Oh yeah, it is. I mean, it's a challenge, but that's the challenge of doing this kind of thing. It's a, like right now, it's just a totally, I'm doing this when I get a chance to, right? It's not this isn't my job. And for me, it's still like the podcast is not my job, which honestly, that would be cool. That would be kind of, I play golf and do a podcast. I think that would be awesome. So I don't have to sit in front of Zoom and talk to people about their golf game, which is fine. It's cool. And I love it. And I get a lot of satisfaction out of it, but it's like you said, it's not my own time. So yeah, I'm with you. I'm trying to do the same thing, and I've stagnated at my current level. I'm not at the chasing scratch. Like, okay, I can have a Patreon of people paying me to just do this. So I'm nowhere close to that. Yeah.
But I mean, you've broken in there, and like, you may not feel it because you're living it. But from my perspective as an outsider, it's like, like, you've been on their podcast, you're doing other things with other people, like and that's cool. Like, you are making your way in. So like,
that's fair.
Just wanted to validate that for you.
Yeah. I appreciate it. Yeah. So I'm just a few steps ahead of you, so we can learn from each other as we go. Yeah,
absolutely. I don't know if I missed anything of where people can find you for Y1 or 2.
I think you nailed it. I mean, the Mental Golf Show, joshnicholsgolf.com would be, we actually just fully revamped the site. So it's got a fresh coat of paint. And so those are the two places. Cool. When this episode, when people go listen to your backlog after they discover you in 3 years, and they come back to like, what was it like at the beginning? Yeah. Maybe they'll go there from there.
I think this is episode 28. So yeah,
there you go.
There you go.
It's early days.
Yeah. Dude, I'm really glad that I asked you. I told my wife, I was like, this guy replied to me, said he listened to my show. I was like, she's like, you should ask him to be on. I was like, I was thinking about it. Yeah. And I was like, well, I'm glad he said yes.
Do it. Yeah, of course. I mean, you're an interesting person, and I like what you're doing. So I'm happy, and I will share the heck out of this when you do it.
Thanks, man.
So it should get some more listeners. I don't know if I've had that much influence, but it should get some more listeners, which would be cool.
Yeah, man. I appreciate it. And I appreciate your time. Is there anything you want to say to the people who do listen, or in 3 years, someone's listening to this?
Right. Oh man, what are things going to be like in 3 years? It sounds scary. I would say the theme of this is go at something really, really hard, and be okay if it doesn't go well. Yeah. And that's kind of the through line of what we've talked about today is have a foundation on something bigger and stronger and more solid, and be yourself no matter what, and then pursue a thing that may go well, may not, and be okay with that result. And go at it hard, because going at something hard is who you are and what you do. Yeah. I think that's generally applicable to anybody. Yeah.
Dang, man. I appreciate it. I've enjoyed our conversation. Yeah. I've gotten a lot out of it. I hope you've gotten something out of it. And
Me too. Absolutely, Phen.
Hope the listeners have as well. So.
All right, man. Good stuff.
Yeah, good stuff. Talk to you later. Thanks so much for listening to this episode. Your support means the world to me. If you enjoyed this podcast, make sure to follow on whatever platform you're listening on and send it to a friend. If you're on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, please leave a review. They really help boost my exposure. If you're on YouTube, make sure that you're subscribed and liking every video. It really helps the algorithm. Links to all my and my guest socials, along with music credits, are in the show notes. Thanks so much. Love y'all. Bye.